Good evening. I'd like to call this meeting to order and welcome you to the Chico Unified School District's regular board meeting. Today is May 15th, 2019. I'd like to go ahead and report out action that was taken in closed session. Our board's been in closed session since 5 o'clock, and we have two announcements to make. The first one is that we have approved the appointment of John Shepard as Director of Secondary Education. So congratulations to Mr. Shepard. Yep. And the second appointment we made, I am extremely excited to announce that Emily Mullins will be the new principal at Hooker Oak Elementary School next year. Ms. Mullins, please stand up. Very good. And so with that, I'd ask if you could join me in a flag salute, please. Thank you. So next item is our student reports, and I will turn this over to Superintendent Staley.
Well, thank you. I really look forward to working with Ms. Mullins and Mr. Shepard next year. That's very exciting. And we have two reports coming forward tonight. The first one is going to be from Parkview and the second one from Marsh. So we are going to start with Heather Cifuentes introducing her Parkview students.
Good evening, everybody. So, can you hear? On? We're very excited. Of course, we're having technical difficulties right now. So we have a couple of kiddos that have come to, and they're a little nervous. So we'll see if they're going to get up. But we have been doing some really amazing parktastic things. Now it's this. Did it go? Sorry. Parktastic. We'll get you a bracelet. Sorry, we have so many different ones going on. Let me get this. So we've had a couple of different focuses this year, and we've been working really hard as a team to kind of come together. And it's making me go through all the motions. I'm only the principal of the STEM school. It's looking pretty competent up here, huh? Third time's the charm. I swear this was all up a minute ago. Here's the word. All right. So what I wanted to share is there's been a lot of work as a school site. This is my second year going on. And it's not up on there now? Yeah, it's loading. So we have done a lot of focus as our school to really start to integrate STEM. And we've been looking a lot at how do we incorporate reading and writing under this umbrella. So I brought 5 students. I think 3 of them are going to be presenting on what they've enjoyed about their STEM experience, but I wanted to take a minute to highlight a couple of things that we've done school-wide. So another focus has been to how do we get our students to teach one another. So one thing we did this year is this is a picture of our student council, and they led a cell lab. So they instructed every kid, TK through 5th grade, went through, and our students became the experts. So you can see in these pictures, they're actually teaching the kids the different parts of a cell and what they learned. We start at a very young age. This is a picture in TK where they're learning the engineering process by stacking on top of their chairs. This is another engineering component that we did in the STEM lab, building a bridge to withstand an earthquake. So over the Jello, they did that. We've had some fun experiences in our STEM lab. This is our 5th graders exploring scat and dissecting, and then they put together a complete owl, or a small rodent that an owl ate. And then our 4th graders also engineered some really impressive Rube Goldberg machines this year. So that's something that we started with the whole 4th grade team, and then they highlighted them. So I'm going to first bring up my 2nd graders that are here to present. So I have Lucy and Eiler, and they're going to talk about some of their favorite STEM aspects this year. All right, so this is Lucy.
My name is Lucy and I love going to Parkview. My favorite lesson was oobleck because we had to figure out if it was a solid or a liquid. What I learned was a liquid is a thing that has flowing molecules and a solid is a thing that has molecules stuck together. What do you think? I brought some oobleck. Thank you all for coming.
You can take it up there. So she'll share that the oobleck was an argumentative piece of writing that 2nd grade ended up having to choose whether or not it was a solid or a liquid, and they wrote their paragraphs argumenting one side or the other with their scientific reasons that they researched. So next I'll have Eiler come on up from 2nd grade. He's going to tell you about the plant life cycle.
Hi, my name is Eiler. I'm from 2nd grade from Parkview Elementary School. I am going to be talking about the plant life cycle. The first step in the plant life cycle is pollination. Pollination is when a bee or any pollinating animal comes to a flower and sucks up the nectar or the pollen, and it drops seeds. Then the seeds disperse from the wind, water, or the animal. Then the seeds get in the ground from all the heavy rain, and then they germinate. Germination is when the roots just come out of the seed, and the seed breaks open for the plant to come out, but it doesn't come out of the soil yet. Then when it sprouts, it comes out of the soil, just a little bit though. When it grows, it's like halfly grown, not fully grown, but it's almost fully grown. Then when it's fully grown, it's all done, and then the whole thing happens all over again.
So I'll pass these around while my 4th grader gets ready to come up. We also have a maker space at school. So the 2nd graders went into the maker space after learning the plant life cycle, and they created their own plants and labeled the diagram as to which part was which, and they're pretty impressive. This is a Venus flytrap and with the egg carton, and then there's a couple more, so I'll pass those around. And I would like to introduce Wyatt from 4th grade and Holden from 4th grade. Come on up.
What is STEM? STEM is science,
Technology,
engineering.
and math.
When you were in 4th grade, you probably remember doing a missions project. Well, at Parkview, we aren't using some skimpy old piece of paper. We're using WeVideo. With WeVideo, we're able to enhance our learning by using technology. We're able to place yourselves at the mission with the ability to import audio and video into the project. We can use all the interior and exterior features of the mission to place ourselves around the mission. And that is all.
So unfortunately, we've had some technical difficulties, but these 4th graders made some awesome mission videos in which they transported themselves into the mission. So they're talking from different points. They're on top of the bell tower. They're in front of the mission, and they're giving you a description. So it's a really good example of how technology's been woven in, not only into the science, but out into our social studies as well. I think we also have a little video clip just to show the different types of energy that Holden put together too, so that you could see one video in action. So you can see the process. It's about 5 minutes long, the video. Pause it. But what is really impressive to see the kids do is to be able to have a project at the end that really encompasses all of their learning. So it has typing, they've learned how to edit, sound, green screen, pull the pictures, so the different types of energy. He's giving the examples of it within that video. So it's a pretty power-packed example of the learning that they've done. So we're very proud of our Parktastic kids, and we thank you for having us tonight.
Okay, I have a science question. And I just learned this. There's ice that's very, very hot. And I'd like you to work on that one. Do it tonight, but that's one to work on.
Thank you so much for coming. We appreciate it.
Okay, well, thank you, Parktastic. We appreciate you being here and sharing your science knowledge and skills. I'd now like to invite up Jessica Camp, who will introduce the Marsh program.
Well, I'm not going to lie, that's a hard one to follow. All right, well, I'm here tonight to talk a little bit about junior high, and junior high is usually a period of time where no one really chooses to ever go back. However, each and every day, I'm honored to do just that. There's something almost magical about this drastic transformation that happens in the 3 years that we have our students. And all of this is because of our dedicated staff that inspires young minds and guides them down the path of who they'll become. Tonight, I would like to recognize someone with the Superintendent's Award that goes to an amazing individual who has done just that. She has been a pillar at Marsh Junior High School since its opening days, and during her 31 years in the district, she has brought passion to Marsh Junior High School, our students, our community. The impact that she has made is immeasurable and will no doubt have lasting effects for years to come. In addition to her middle school counseling duties, she has overseen many programs that have helped to shape our budding teens. These include peer mediators, clean teams, CJSF advisor, community service activity coordinator, Tech Trek coordinator, Pennies for Patients coordinator, AfroPeace, Bright Light volunteers, and so much more. However, despite these amazing programs, the true measure of an educator's impact is hearing how they have touched the lives of the students in which they have come in contact with. I would like to invite Mrs. Bodner up to the podium so that she can hear firsthand the impact that she has had on the students at Marsh. By the way, she thinks she's here to talk about the Holocaust education that she provides for our students. Don't hate me. All right. These are just some of our students, Mrs. Bodner. So this is Sophia Lopez, who is part of Peer Mediators and CGSF. Mrs. Bodner is one of my greatest mentors. She has given me the opportunity to become a better person by helping people in need. Mrs. Bodner if Mrs. Bodner had not chose me to be a peer mediator, I do not know if I would have been involved in what is really important. If we start helping in our community, then it makes the world a better place. I hope to make her proud. Mrs. Bodner is always willing to help others. She's always looking at the bigger picture. CJSF is not just about helping students, it's about helping community. We are going to miss her next year. Jonathan Ronghel, CJSF. Mrs. Bodner, thank you so much for accepting me into CJSF. CJSF has taught me to care about others more than I care about myself. You have done so much more for Marsh, as well as myself, and I appreciate that. Thanks for all you do, Skylar Grunland. Mrs. Bodner, thank you for being the director of such amazing programs. This year's mediators are just a bit wild and crazy, but thank goodness you're there to keep everything under control. Words cannot explain how important your job is. Thanks for being there each and every day for our students. You have such a kind heart, and everyone is beyond thankful for you. We love you so much. Madison Sanvangsi. All right, a few more. Mrs. Bodner has done so much, not only for our campus, but also for me personally. Peer mediators, and peer mediators, we have so much fun. Mrs. Bodner brings food, tells jokes, but that's not all. She's an inspirational advisor that has taught me so many valuable lessons. She has taught me how to make someone's day when they are feeling down. When I am in difficult situations, I often find myself asking, what would Mrs. Bodner do? These moments are ones that I will always remember. Michaela Aguirre. Mrs. Bodner is someone on campus that I would trust with anything. She is kind, funny, smart, a role model for me to learn from and how to help in my community. Being in peer mediators has helped me through so many hard times. I am so blessed that she chose me to be a part of it. Marsh will miss Mrs. Bodner, and I will too. I will miss her amazing heart, the opportunities she has given me, and honestly, I cannot think of anyone who deserves this award more. Maria Wattenberg. From the bottom of my heart, I want to personally thank you for your dedication and service to our students. Like Maria said, I cannot think of anyone more deserving. Thank you.
Miss Bodner's touch is global. Global.
Brand new Chico Unified student in kindergarten next year. Well, I'm speechless, which is not too often, doesn't happen that very often. It's been an amazing run. Sorry. I guess I've been so blessed with so many amazing students and mentors, like my friend Hani, who's here, and I dragged along even though I told her it was going to be about the Holocaust, and she's a Holocaust survivor, so she deserves a hand too. But I do believe that what Kathleen just mentioned is that we never stop learning, and we need to step out of our comfort zones and out of our areas where we just, live for most of our lives and experience more of the world, because we are all one and we are all part of the same journey. So thank you again.
Congratulations, Pam, and we will certainly miss you. I'd now like to invite up John Vincent for our Classified Award.
Good evening, and thank you for having me here tonight. I would like to say first that Mrs. Bodner has been the counselor for my son here at Marsh, and I just want to say thank you so much, because it just means so much how much you've done for me and my son, so thank you. So tonight for the Classified, we have Justin Cooper here to receive the Superintendent's Award. If you want to come on up, Justin. So Justin's here under the pretense of talking about laserfish and green technology and saving paper. Little did he know you'd be here for this.
No, I literally did not.
So Justin has been with the district now for probably 15 years, I'd say.
About 15 years, right.
You started out over at Chico High School.
Oh my gosh, I was still in college.
And it's funny because I just got an email today from Chico High School mentioning his name, because he just started out such a great way of doing business over there, and a great way of just taking care of teachers and taking care of students, that they just remember him to the point I got an email today out of the blue regarding Justin. So I just want to mention too, he's a brilliant person. The technology that we have, the automation that we have in place, so much of that is because of Justin. He's able to go in and just take hold of something and just make it into an automated process that's just magic. And so on the outside, it looks like magic. On the inside, it's pain because it's programming, so there's pain there. But he works through problems and he nails it, and it just makes our district work like butter. It's just so nice. But the best thing really is that Justin really cares about people. He wants to make people be able to have a good experience. He wants to help them, and I just can't say how much I appreciate everything you do, Justin. So Thank you very much.
Thanks, John, I appreciate that.
You bet.
What do I gotta do?
So at this point, we want to honor a staff member and some students who have been working directly with the board and the district to stream our board meetings. We have CTE teacher extraordinaire, Mr. Gary Lustal, who came up with the idea of using this as a learning lab for his students, and then the students who have given up every other Wednesday to come. Actually, I guess it's one Wednesday a month because they don't do our board workshops, but they do come here. They come and set up prior to the board meeting. They are here throughout the board meeting. They are here taking down after, all in an effort to make sure our community can see our board meetings. So Ms. Hovey and I would like to thank Mr. Lustal and his students, and we'd like them to come down right in front of the board.
Actually, I will say just a few words of thanks to Gary and to the students. It's important that our public and our community gets to see what we do here, and we couldn't have done it without you this past year. So I am very appreciative of that, and again, want to wholeheartedly thank you on behalf of myself and the board.
I'm Alan Diaz. I'm a 12th grader, and I'm going to Chico State next year.
I'm Sarah Swartz, and I'm a 12th grader, and I'm going to Butte.
I'm Adrian Arredondo, and I'm a senior, and I'm going to B College.
All righty, so our next item of business is announcements. Are there any announcements from the board? Dr. Kaiser?
I just, after our very impressive, don't run away yet, Parkview. After our very impressive demonstration, and we've had several, there was a glowing article about Glenn County schools using their students to do the science fair. And I thought it was really interesting, the variety of areas that they gave the students to present in. So I'd like to give a shout out to our own science educators, and let's see if we can't do that next year.
We
All
did it
right,
this year.
very good, thank you.
All right. Any announcements from staff? Okay, seeing none, we'll move on to item number 7, items from the floor. Is there anyone from the audience who would like to speak on a topic that is not on the agenda? All right, seeing none, we will move on to item 8, negotiations update. Mr. Hanlon.
So we continue to meet with CSEA. We have a meeting planned for June. They delivered their openers for next year, so I'll be bringing those forward to the board to sunshine them at the June 19th meeting. With CUTA, we have a tentative agreement. They are going to have a ratification vote, I believe, on May 30th, and then I will bring that forward to the board also on June 13th. So hopefully we're getting some closure on some of these things.
Great, and seeing no representatives, we will just move on to the next item, which is our consent calendar. Are there any items on the consent calendar that board members would like to pull? Yes.
Okay, I would like to pull 9.2.1
Okay.
and 9.3.3 and 9.3.4.
Okay. Anyone else?
Okay, yeah. 9.2.1, 9.3.3, and 9.3.4.
And I'd like to pull 9.2.11. 1. Anyone else? Anyone from the audience? All right, may I have a motion to approve the remaining consent calendar?
I move to approve the remaining consent calendar.
Second.
Okay, so we have a motion by Dr. Kaiser, a second by Elizabeth Griffin to approve the remainder of the consent calendar. May I have a roll call vote, please?
Lando, aye.
Griffin, aye.
Hovey, aye.
Kaiser, aye.
Robinson, aye.
Motion is approved. Ms. Griffin, would you like to start with 9.2.1?
Okay, the question, I have a couple of questions. We receive these reports about expulsions at each of our regular board meetings, and this particular group of expulsions was concerning because each one of the expulsions, the person being expelled did have an IEP. And so one of the questions that is always asked is if the child's disability played a role in this expulsion or the behavior or whatever that contributed to it. So what I would like to know is who makes the determination if the behavior is a manifestation of the disability?
Okay, so we have the school psychologist, their case carrier, if it's a resource, all these three were resource students that have their case carrier in there, they have families also in there with them. The teachers are in there also. When they're in there, they're doing like almost a small IEP on that to determine if it was or not part of his disability.
Okay, so for example, I mean, I'm looking at one in particular, and I'm thinking to myself, if a child had an IEP for something like severe emotional disturbance, and then they were doing this kind of acting out behavior, that wouldn't be constituted as being a manifestation of their disability?
Right.
Maybe you can clarify a little bit.
So we hold a manifest determination meeting that's prior to the expulsion, and in that manifest determination meeting, the psychologist does a file review of the history of the student and of the behaviors. For ED, there is an extra step that they take is this a willful event that they pre-plan? It's a possibility of pre-planning, a possibility of knowing and admitting that, yes, I know I shouldn't have done this. So they do a lot of work, especially on those ones where there's a consideration of an emotional challenge, and making sure that they can differentiate between the emotional stability of the student and the event that happened at that time. There are times that we find that it is part of the disability. In these cases, it was found that there is enough evidence to indicate that it was not part of the disability.
And I noticed in the recommendations then it follows, with those cases, it always seems to follow with these particular ones we reviewed, that they do recommend a behavioral plan and that they'll be planning. So I was really glad to see that. The second thing is on one of the students, it mentioned that this particular student participates in AAU basketball. And there is also, though, a requirement that the student not be allowed on any campus without a particular permission by an administrator of suspensions or expulsions or a proper. So it seems to me that this might be a positive thing going on in this child's life. So is that something then that
Yes.
you review, Jay?
Sure, and when, what we do is, and then I'm not gonna bring them up, but Mr. Mall, we have the student and the parent, when we explained it to that parent, because we really wanted them to continue, because we wanted them to do that, as part of their, even part of their community service, if they play on a sports team or a card team, we really encourage them to be doing a positive thing. So at this time, we have the parent and the student tell Mr. Mall when they're going to be doing those practices. That time, that parent said that they would also attend those practices with the student to make sure, and when we made that agreement, we said as long as the parent and let Mr. Mall knows those dates, so we can let the facility people or the school that they're going to be practicing at, letting them know that they've been approved.
Okay, I'm really glad to see that people are, paying attention
Yeah,
to
we're
particular.
encouraging that.
Yeah, because, sometimes these kids have nothing, and that it seemed like that child at least had something that they were really engaged in. So
We wanted them to continue.
I wanted to, guarantee that. So that's wonderful. So that has to do with that one. Thank you for that. I move approval of item 9.2.1.
We have a motion to approve 9.2.1 by Liz Griffin, a second by Dr. Kaiser. All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously. How about we'll go in order, and I'll address this next one, is 9.2.11, and this is Mr. Marchand also, and it's just a clarification. This item says in a couple of different places that it's a request for textbooks for Chico High and Pleasant Valley High, or is it just Chico High? And then on the attachment, we have the number of textbooks for Chico High, but for Pleasant Valley, it's unclear. So I just wanted to clarify, are both schools?
I can clarify.
Thank you.
I think that's a clerical error. Those books are just for the course that's offered at Chico High.
That's what I thought.
That's why the attachment reflects that.
Perfect.
Good catch.
All righty. So may I have a motion to approve 9.2.11?
I move to approve 9.2.11 with the amendment that is Chico High, clarification.
Thank you. I'll second that motion. All right, so we have a motion to approve with the correction by Dr. Kaiser, a second by Eileen Robinson. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion is approved. Ms. Griffin, back to 9.3.3.
Okay, the question I had is, there's a contract, and it has to do, it looks more actually like an MOU, that has to do with the Chico State Nursing Program, and I just wondered if that was is that something totally new this year?
Well, yes, only because it's very rare that we get the opportunity to have nurse interns, and we welcome them because they're so difficult to hire. So if we can have contact with those interns and get an opportunity for them to get acquainted with and attached to Chico Unified, we want to have that opportunity to recruit them. So we're very interested in that program. It's a win-win. So it's only new because it's fairly rare to have that opportunity.
Yeah, because I thought I hadn't seen that before, and I think that's fantastic. So
It's
congratulations to whoever got that started and in
Yeah.
motion.
It's very difficult because they can make a lot more money working at a hospital. So when they want to come into schools, we want to welcome them and work with the
Right.
university.
That's wonderful. Then the other question I had under that same number is there's a contract with NSP3, and it has to do, I think, with playground equipment, but it doesn't say what school. What school is that? Okay. Okay, that's wonderful. So knowing that, I move approval of item 9.3.3.
Okay, so we have a motion to approve 9.3.3 by Liz Griffin, a second by Dr. Kaiser. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes unanimously. Elizabeth,
Okay.
9.3.
Okay, sorry, last
No,
one,
no, that's
9.3.4. We have a requirement to have these trained workforce reports. And is Julie here? So I just wondered, Julie, I noticed in reading the report, and I think it was from BCM, that there were some non-compliance kind of things, that they were in the process of getting things lined up, but they didn't have enough apprentices and all this stuff. So I don't know, maybe you can refresh my memory. Is there a penalty of any kind? Are we penalized if that is not complied with? What happens if they don't comply?
The way the law reads, Sorry, that's very loud. The way the law reads is that the reports are to come to the board on a monthly basis and reviewed. If a contractor is found not to be in compliance, then the board is to withhold their payment. However, the law also says that if the contractors present a plan to comply prior to the end of the project, then they can continue on and there's no penalty.
Okay, that's great, because I just wasn't sure, if, what sort of impact that had, if there was, we had heard about this coming down, the pike, but I didn't know what there was. So we're not denying any payment to any contractors as a consequence of this.
Correct. And the law has actually changed, so any contracts of this type that will be entered into after January 1st of 2019, the reports then go to the Division or Department of Industrial Relations instead of the school board. So after the current projects are finished, you will no longer be receiving these.
Does that mean then that they will enact some kind of penalties, though, or how's?
Yes, the penalties are different in the new law. So yes, they will.
Okay, so have some sort of organizations sprung up to fulfill the need for these apprenticeships and things? Because that was another thing we were concerned about. Is are there enough apprenticeship programs to so these people can be trained?
It's a great question. The law also reads that as of, I don't know the particular date, but it's a date in 2014, unless there was an approved apprenticeship program by the DAS prior to this particular date in 2014, they would not be allowed to start any new training programs. Contradictory to what it seems the law is trying to do, no new apprenticeship programs can be added that comply with this law in particular.
So how's that need going to be met? Do you have any idea?
I don't. I actually had a very long conversation with some of the union representatives today about this topic, because for our Phase 4 project at Emma Wilson, we put it out for regular hard bid, so design, bid, build, not a lease-back contract. And they wanted to meet with me to ask why. And so I explained that this is why. That, go ahead.
2 years ago, when this law was just on the books, I went to a meeting at CSBA, and we hadn't really got into this buying yet, but the most angry and upset were the smaller school districts all up and down the valley, because they had already started to spend their bond money to build schools, and they could not, and they were told they would never get the union workers, and they were in a horrible, horrible fix. And they don't want to come north of Sacramento either. So this is, it was a political gambit that has caused a lot of hardship to a lot of districts.
Yeah, I know now this is only associated with lease-back though, correct?
It's associated with lease-back and design-build. We don't utilize design-build, but we could. But it's associated with both of those delivery methods. But so far, not regular public contract code, design, bid, build. So that's why we went that route with Emma Wilson.
Okay, well, thank you for the clarification, and yeah, it's good to know, because we do have a lot of these projects still to happen, and keeping up on this is really important. So thank you for all your work on that.
I do want to mention that the local union groups have been very cooperative. They've been trying to help us comply on our projects, and they've reached out to us, and it's been going both directions, but that doesn't change the law.
Okay. Well, based on that, I move to approve item 9.3.4.
With a great deal of pain, I second.
All right, we have a motion to approve 9.3.4 by Liz Griffin, a second by Dr. Kaiser. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion is approved unanimously. Let's move on to the next item, which is now moving into our discussion action calendar. So it's 10.1.1. This is informational. It's Fairview High School peer mediator presentation. Mr. Marchant.
Yeah, this time I'm just going to introduce and bring up the principal of Fairview, Andrew Mall, and have him bring up his crew from his peer mediators. They're a wonderful group. We're going to have them talk about that tonight.
How you doing? Good evening. Thank you for giving us another opportunity to showcase one of our programs at Fairview, our peer mediation group with the help of Mike Carroll and Lori Kligerman. It's now in its third year back on campus from a little hiatus, so we're really proud to have them back. We thank you so much. Also, a big thank you to Anne Philippe for her support and what these wonderful students are going to talk about in a trip that they took to Berkeley. So as you know, with our peer mediation program, Mike and Lori really bring strong foundation in teaching these amazing, resilient, courageous students life skills that they can take with them everywhere they go, any relationship they find themselves in. And so without further ado, Mr. Mike Carroll, just come on up. Students, come on up too, please.
This is thank you for allowing us to present what these students have created over the course of this semester. We had to stop our training because of the fire, and that made us choose a separate conference, the middle school conference rather than the high school conference. But I think, and you guys do agree with me that it was kind of a good thing for you guys. What they're going to do now is just tell you what the peer mediation program, which goes on Wednesday afternoon from 2 to 3. Lori Kligerman, who unfortunately is in New Jersey because she lost her sister, and she'll be here. She'll be back on Saturday. Lori and I meet with the students for an hour a week, and this conference has just been a great find for our kids, and I'd like them to tell you what it means to them.
Go, Caitlin. Okay. Okay. So, hi, I'm Caitlin. I'm from Fairview. I'm a senior. I'm graduating. Cannot wait. But going and being in peer mediation was such a life-changing event for me, I would say. I went to Chico High, did not have my best. It was not my teaching or my learning style. And so I came to Fairview. And in Fairview, I just blossomed. I went from a D straight student to all A's and B's. So I was like, yes. And then going to Berkeley. Berkeley was a once-in-a-lifetime chance for me. And there I tried new things. I had fun time with my friends. You're good, you're good. We're all very nervous, sorry. I had a really good time with my friends. I learned how to be a better speaker in front of groups, which is a big thing. Let's see. We also just, learned a lot about ourselves and how to deal with conflicts in our life, such as, say, I'm fighting with a friend. I need to sit down with her and say, what is our issue? It's both of us, so what can we do to fix this issue? And peer mediation has led me to really seek that answer and use I words instead of you words, like, you did it, you messed up my grades. No, I did it, I did my grade, like that kind of things. And it's really helped in my personal life, talking to my teachers, talking to my friends, talking to bosses too. Be like, I'm uncomfortable in that situation. I don't want to be in that situation. Not like, you put me in that situation, what did you do? So taking the blame more than putting it on someone else. And it's actually helped me too, because I want to
when I go to college, I want to study children's education too. So this has helped me a lot with that too. So, yeah, thank you. You're good.
My name's Esperanza. I'm a junior at Fairview High School. I'll be graduating 2020. So far, peer mediation has helped me extremely a lot. No, don't you dare. Sorry. It has helped me extremely with, like she said, communication, because I can admit that I was very horrible at that and not truthfully being able to tell somebody how I deeply feel, just kind of just letting my emotions get away of my true feelings. And so Mike and Lori have taught us how to really be able to put those out more as understanding and helping with like conflicts with other people, instead of just like taking your anger out to somebody. How about you just step aside and talk to somebody about it and tell your side of the story, and they tell their side of the story, and figure out where you guys went wrong, instead of never understanding what their side was and just assuming what it was. So yeah, that's how peer mediation has helped me.
I'm Anissa. I'm a junior at Fairview. I'll be graduating in December of 2019. Peer mediation has helped me not only on campus, but at home, dealing with different situations and being able to be like, but I feel like this, and not having the other family member feel like I'm just trying to attack them. So it's helped me with all my communication skills around with teachers, just everybody that I come across, and being able to understand the different ways that people talk, because there's like the Me Too speaking, and being able to understand that everybody has a different communication level, and fully being able to be like, okay, let's figure this out the right way and not sit here and argue over something that could be fixed in 5 minutes.
So I just want to point out one thing. When these ladies came back to campus, you had shared a story with me. So they presented to the junior high students at the conference. They showcased their skills. They did some mock mediations. And one thing that SB told me was there was a young lady that reminded her a little bit of her in there with her little, I want to say attitude, but just something in her. And so she was able to kind of step out and just, share with the student, just, kind of shared an example of how that reminded her of her. So I was really proud of the three of you for stepping out of your comfort zone, what you do around campus and everything. It really is inspiring. So I thank you for all that you do. You are very courageous. You are very amazing. And I think you have one more thing to share with our board.
Okay, so board members, by your name tags, there are either a blue, or for the gentleman, it's black. Those are pens that Fairview actually made.
In our pen making class.
In our pen making class.
Yeah.
So we just wanted to present them to you guys. We really hope you enjoy them. They're really hard to make. But it's a really great program, actually. I have a skill that I would not have known about. If school doesn't help me, I can always fall back on pen making.
They're beautiful. Thank you. Dr. Kaiser has a question.
No, I have a statement
A
first. Don't
statement.
sit down. I'm mad at you. No, you, Andrew, because 2 weeks in a row, or 2 board meetings in a row, I had their picture with their recognition that they got. So you didn't even tell the audience how they were recognized at Berkeley. Well, the ER noted that they had gotten saluted at the conference. Oh, yeah, right. Yes. They took note of their abilities and saluted them. And I would like to do that too. Don't say it'll be the only chance you get to go to Berkeley. Right? I know, but you might end up there. All right, thank you. I'm glad your principal finally got you here.
All right, thank you for coming and telling us about the program and your trip. You bet. All right, so we'll move on to the next agenda item, which is 10.1.2, and this is an informational item, 2018-19 Career and Technical Education Pathway Successes.
So Tina, wait a minute, I thought you were sick.
Yeah.
I was, but I'm better. I'm happy to say. So over the last 12 months, the career and technical education pathways have continued to grow and experience success. The February 2019 board update included various curricular changes which demonstrate the expansion and enhancement of our pathways. An extraordinary amount of CTE-specific funding has come in over the last 4 years and continues to do so. It is with much gratitude that we, the district, thank the teachers for the research and time that has gone into updating equipment, facilities, and curriculum. This takes a synergy of people to manage and grow these programs: students, teachers, administrators, support staff, local business and industry partners, facilities and maintenance and operations, and our fiscal staff. We're thrilled to showcase the culminating pathway successes for the 18-19 academic year. We have some special guests in the audience. I want to invite up Priscilla Burns, Laura Dietl, Matt Joyner, Tammy Taylor, Mike Peck. Did I miss anybody? And I know we have some students here that I'm going to have them introduce as they come up too. So students in our CTE pathways, please join us here for a moment. I would like to invite our CTE teachers to tell us a little bit about what they've been doing these last couple weeks during their leadership experiences.
Good evening. I'm Priscilla Burns, and I'm CTE coordinator, but I also serve as hospitality lead at Pleasant Valley High School. We are thrilled with the successes we've had over the last several months. In coordination and as department chair in Family and Consumer Science and advisor for FCCLA, we led 25 students recently to Riverside, gaining a gold status as a superior chapter, nationwide recognition as a membership chapter, and we brought home lots and lots of awards, including leadership awards for our students. We have 7 students going to national, 4 students qualified to compete, and that'll be in Anaheim this June and July. So we have lots more to do. We're just thrilled with not only the leadership, but also, the facilities that are moving forward. I know the students in the hospitality end have catered and done many work-based learning. A lot of them aren't here tonight because they're on jobs, and so that's a good thing. But we're just thrilled with the progress, and thank you for your continued support.
Hello, I'm Tammy Taylor. I'm doing the medical at Chico High. This was our first year attending the state leadership conference, and I took students not to compete, but to take it all in. And I'm happy to say that all students volunteer between 8 to 10 hours a day and went to many different leadership workshops. So we're really excited. We have some really cool stuff that I can't wait to implement next year. And so it's all really exciting.
Hi, I'm Laura Dietl. And Priscilla, you're going to speak for me, but that's okay. I'm the lead in the child development pathway. Very proud of this pathway. We have Careers with Kids class has a 30-year history. We have over 100 students in the pathway that are CPR, first aid certified, Stop the Bleed certified. The students are in community classrooms where they have over 120 hours working at Smart Start, Marigold Loma Vista, and Innovative Preschool, as well as Pleasant Valley. And our students volunteer for many things like the autism walk and so on, so they get really involved with children. And we have 3 classes that are articulated with Butte College. And so very, very proud of this pathway, and hopefully the person who takes over my job will have as much success. So thank you.
And I do, before she leaves, just want to say we're going to sure miss Miss Deedle. She's retiring and leaving us this year, but I have a funny feeling you'll come back and help a little. Thank you for all your years, Laura.
Good evening, I'm Matt Joyner. I'm the Welding and Manufacturing Pathway Lead at Pleasant Valley High School. I brought with me my 7 students who attended state conference this year. Many of them also work. They made arrangements to get work off this evening to be here to accept this acknowledgement of their accomplishments this year. So I'm very proud of them. Not only did they place very well, including one state award winner this year, state gold winner, Chris Angel. Congratulations, Chris. But the other 6 gentlemen up there with him also placed very high in their respective contests, most 5th place and up. And as I explained to them, when they don't quite get 1st, 2nd, or 3rd, I go, it's a really big state. There's a lot of competition. So just making it to state finals to that level is pretty amazing. So also very amazing to me is that they were on time every time, even early for the very early contest morning. I'm very impressed by these gentlemen and their efforts this year. So come check out some of their projects, their fabrication projects that'll be on display at Silver Dollar Fair next week. So thank you.
Hello, my name is Michael Peck. I'm the media arts teacher at Pleasant Valley High School. Teach film production, video production, audio production, and a 4-year sequence of classes, all CTE certified. My capstone class, we call ourselves PV House of Blue. I have some of the students here tonight that are going to share with you, have had a tremendously busy year this year, busier than we've ever had. The reputation that we are establishing within the community is growing every single year, and the real-world projects that I'm able to provide to them, and they're doing an outstanding job with, are just coming from every angle. I'm just looking at some pictures here that I brought in. I know they're not up there, but we all went through the devastating Camp Fire, of course, and a lot is still happening with that. We had a couple really big opportunities to help support all that happened through that earlier in the year, starting in December on winter break. And we got to work with some professionals from Los Angeles, from the industry, on a couple big video projects sponsored by Adobe Corporation. The main video has received over 4 million views online now. Adobe thanked us by an all-expense trip to San Francisco to their headquarters, where my students got to meet professionals from the industry to talk about internships and career opportunities. They also wrote us a check for $5,000 to thank us for the video work that we did. This crew decided that we were only going to keep $2,000 of that to help cover some of our travel costs to other state competitions, and we were able to donate $3,000 to the community foundation downtown that goes to the campfire victims. So I thought that was pretty cool that the kids came up with that. We also did the Every 15 Minutes program again. PV is still one of the only schools that the students are the filmmakers that do the production for the California Highway Patrol grant, which makes me very proud. They put in more hours than people would realize with a film like that, and it was our best one yet. So if you have not seen that on YouTube, you should check that out. It's pretty amazing. We've also recently they did the Bidwell Bark, official video team for the Bidwell Bark this Saturday. We did the Walk for Water a few weeks ago and the Run for Food in November. So all these organizations that could ask Chico State, Butte College students to do their productions are coming to House of Blue to these kids. And it's a pretty big honor, and they're doing some pretty outstanding work. Skills USA, I was there with Matt Joyner and his kids, and I had 8 kids that won the regional competition as well that got to go down there. And one of my teams, Sarah Hall, is here. Her partner is not, won 2nd place in the TV video production category, which is a very competitive category. So congratulations on that. All the teams did really well. DJ and Riley here. Earlier won a $1,000 cash prize from a local restaurant that did a film contest early in the year. And a couple of these other accomplishments I'll talk about later. But it's been a very busy year, very productive year, and I just have some of the best students around, and I'm just really fortunate to be able to work with such outstanding students. So thank you.
And again, our thanks to all of these teachers. We know they put in so much time, so much heart, and so much effort to make sure that our students are doing well and going out with life experiences. I would like to take a minute and invite our students to come up and introduce themselves and tell us how old they are, if they if they are in a leadership position. I do know one young lady has just been named the state vice president of FCCLA. So if you wouldn't mind coming up, introducing yourselves very quickly.
My name is Aiden Osgood. I'm a senior at Pleasant Valley, and I'm going to UC Davis next year. I'm studying biomedical sciences and doing a double major in film as well. I've had a great time with House of Blue, and I've finally found something I'm truly passionate about. Filming and editing major projects is something I've found to be very interesting and a very fun way to spend my time. So I'm greatly appreciative of Mr. Peck and every opportunity I've been able to have thanks to this project. So thank you.
So my name is DJ Merrill. I'm a 12th grader at PV, and I'm also a student of Mr. Peck's. And this year, I've learned so much about myself and just like everyone. And I've learned that I'd really love to make stories that make people think and smile. So yeah, I'm going to Butte.
Hi, I'm Riley Sposs. I'm a 12th grader at Pleasant Valley High School, and I'm also a student of Mr. Peck's, and I just want to say thank you to him because House of Blue really has given me like a lot of opportunities, and it's like helped me find something I really enjoy doing, which is video, like filmmaking, editing, filming, etc. And so yeah, I'm going to Butte next year.
Hi, I'm Sarah Hall. I'm a senior at Pleasant Valley High School, and I was involved in House of Blue as well. And House of Blue really did like change my life completely, and I can't thank Mr. Peck enough. It really like allowed me to have something that I felt like I was good at in high school, and yeah, it's just really life-changing.
Hi, my name is Ethan Bechtold. I'm the president of House of Blue. So House of Blue has given me a crazy amount of opportunities, as they've all said and as Peck talked about. And I'd kind of just like to take this platform to thank Mr. Peck. Absolutely amazing last 2 years, and I don't know what the last 2 years would have looked like without, your class and stuff like that. And without his class, I would not have been given the skills or the confidence to take the next step as a film major. I'm going to Azusa Pacific down in LA, and yeah, thank you, Peck.
I would just interject before we go to the next set is that my nephew went to UC Davis to be an engineer and ended up being a video maker and worked with the Olympics. So you guys, great foot in the door. Wonderful.
My name is Trenton Top. I'm a student of Joiners. I can't thank Joiner enough. I learned a life trait for the rest of my life, and I'll be able to fix anything. So thank you.
My name's Chris Angel. I'm a senior at PV, and I won the state championship for oxy-fuel welding thanks to Mr. Joiner. I'm John Newquist. I went to State Skills USA for MIG, and I placed 5th, and I wouldn't have been able to do it if it wasn't for Mr. Joiner.
My name is Kyle Barnes. I competed in this state competition for TIG welding for Mr. Joiner's class.
Logan Dixon, and I went to Skills with Joyner for TIG welding.
I'm Ryan Brownfield, and I went to Skills for oxy-fuel welding and placed fifth.
Jake Ford, just want to thank Mr. Joyner for everything he's taught me. Went to Skills for stick welding.
I'm Jessica Kendall, and I am the California State Vice President of FCCLA, and I can't wait to head into the new year with the organization and with my family as well, including Ms. Burns. Thank you.
Thank you, teachers and students, for carving out some time tonight to come down here. We appreciate, we know some took off work and time away from families and other things, so we sure appreciate all of you. It is a thrill to work with this staff. I've enjoyed so much getting to know them and their programs. I know I always tell them, please invite me to anything you have going on. I will try to get there if I can. I would extend the same to the board as well and any of my district colleagues. It's pretty cool, so thank you.
Before they all leave, we're going to have Mr. Peck go over another presentation for us about a previous competition that he just did.
Okay, I forgot to thank you guys for the opportunity to recruit some young filmmakers here earlier. This evening I gave them my card and told them I hoped I would see them in House of Blue in a few years. That was pretty cool. So, all right, this part I'm going to have to read. We do a lot of things, and video is a part of what we do, but as my students and I both know, there's way more that happens in House of Blue than making videos. And this next bit of information is kind of got a different angle. Over 2 million youth cope with severe major depression in the United States and often co-occur with other disorders like substance abuse, anxiety, and disorderly behavior. It's estimated that half of all cases of mental illnesses begin by the age of 14, and 3/4 of all instances start by the age of 24. If left untreated at a young age, childhood depression is more likely to persist into adulthood. Yet, youth often turn to their peers and friends for support other than adults. I'm speaking about a program called Directing Change that I've participated in with my students since 2013. It gives young filmmakers the opportunity to start conversations with their peers about the warning signs for suicide, to raise mental health awareness, and to give them the knowledge to connect to a friend or to a trusted adult. As a former health teacher in Chico Unified and a current media arts teacher, I have found that this is probably the most important project that I do every single year. In my 18 years of teaching in Chico Unified, I've seen a pretty big change in the students that I deal with in the classroom and what they're dealing with in their personal lives. And it's often, pretty severe and, hard for everybody to deal with. This is my way to try to give back. This is my way to try to have my students give back to a very important issue that needs to be talked about more, in the open, addressed more. In high school right now, students take a health class in 9th grade, which is great, but they're 13 and 14 years old at that age. A lot happens between freshman year and senior year when they're adults like these young people here, and a lot of things change in their lives. It would be my hope that someday we could figure out a way to bring those classes, resources, topics, conversations into the classroom more than just at the 9th grade level, because we all know it's very important. So we participated since 2013. Directing Change is a film contest statewide. They have high school categories and college categories, which my students have participated in both. They have asked me to be on their advisory, and every year since it started, we've won first place in all the categories that they put forth, and many times second, third place, and whatnot. I think at this point, we've traveled to San Diego, LA, Sacramento, and my students have won over $20,000 in prize money from the contest. This year, the contest had entries from across the state of a number of 3,346 youth, and they received 1,063 films across the state. The students here have won first place in their regional, and we are going to be going back to LA on Monday for a really important event and a red carpet event where they're going to be honored. Their films are going to be shown in an actual theater with lots of mental health experts and other kids and community members that are trying to bring this message forward. I'd like to introduce each of the student teams, and I would like them to show you, it's just a 1-minute video, but I think it's a very important video to see what they do from the ideas, producing a script, synthesizing, working with others, filming, editing, collaborating, and it just all comes together in a short film. So they have been chosen as the first place winners in the region. They have won a $500 award. Directing Change flies us out to LA, puts us up in a very nice hotel, and has an extremely nice red carpet event. And it's open to the public. So if any of you would like to have a little trip to LA on Tuesday to see this event, I can definitely give you the information. So first, in suicide prevention category this year, I would like to first welcome Riley Sposs to the microphone to talk about his film, Don't Keep It a Secret.
All right, so I'm Riley Sposs. My partner, Neil Denise, he helped me work on the project. He's my good friend, and unfortunately he had work tonight, so he couldn't make it, but I think I can speak on behalf for him and myself that we worked really hard on the project. We really are proud of how it turned out, and I think the choices we made, like stylistically, really worked out in the video, and I think it really is, it's just amazing that at Directing Change, kids like me can help other kids who are struggling, and that's just like a really cool opportunity. So again, thanks to Mr. Peck for even giving us that opportunity, but so yeah, I appreciate it. I think I'll just let our video speak for itself.
A month had gone by since the last time I was happy. Depression had snuck up on me like a plague. At first, I didn't even notice. The things I usually found joy in seemed monotonous and boring. I stopped hanging out with friends outside of school and started isolating myself in my room all day. It had gotten so bad that I didn't even want to go on living. I even told this to one of my closest friends at school, not expecting anything to come of it. To my surprise, he went behind my back and told my parents. At first, I felt upset and betrayed, but now I realized that what he did was in my best interest, and with the assistance of my parents, I've gotten help from a professional. Since then, I've reconnected with my friends and have a renewed interest in my hobbies. If you or someone you know express suicidal thoughts, don't keep it a secret, because there are always people ready to help. If you need help right away, the National Suicide Prevention Hotline is just a call away.
Thank you.
Every year before this, they had separate categories for high school and college. And my students that participated in high school that graduated and moved on to Butte a few years back started asking, because they still have to have a teacher advisor, if I would advise them while they're at Butte. And I said, heck yeah. They've entered the college category for the last 3 years. This year, we didn't really pay attention closely, but the college and the high school kids were mixed. Again, this is a California state contest, and one of our categories, second place behind our first, was from UCLA. So it's kind of a big contest. So second place this year, who is not here, but Dylan Miner and Quinn Farley were two of my outstanding students last year. They were probably here at this meeting last year at this time for other things, but they entered the contest and won second place for suicide prevention, but they're not here tonight. But they're still continuing this message even beyond House of Blue. The next team here I would like to introduce is Ethan and Sarah. They participated in the suicide prevention category as well. And Directing Change does one special thing they call a team pick that moves on to state judging. And out of all the entries in the whole contest, they pick one that didn't get first to move on, but they felt it was too important not to include. So I'd like them to come up and tell you about Summit.
Hi, my name is Ethan Bechtold.
I'm Sarah Hall, and our Suicide Prevention Film Summit, won regional team pick through the Directing Change Film Contest.
But going into this project, winning wasn't really the first thing on our minds. We felt that if we were worrying about kind of, winning like on the rubric, we'd be sacrificing our vision and not conveying the message that needs to be conveyed. And
So our film revolves around a phone call, and in this phone call, a concerned friend reaches out to someone he's noticed is showing signs of suicide, such as loss of interest and increasing isolation.
the friend, like most of us, I would assume, they're not an expert, but using the resources that they have, they do their best and they reach out. And that's the most important thing is having people reach out and showing that they're loved. And so he tries to show him that the rest of his life does not lie in the present and that there is things beyond right now.
And in the second category, Mental Health Matters, I have the first place winners regionally, DJ and Aiden, who are going to talk about rainy days.
You go first.
So, hi, my name is DJ Merrill.
And I'm Aiden Osgood. And our movie, Rainy Days, our idea originally was to encapsulate the feelings that people diagnosed with depression have. They feel as if there literally is a rain cloud that follows them around and pours down on their head. And we believe that we were slightly able to capture that emotion. Obviously, depression is ever present in high schoolers and teenagers as well. And unfortunately, it is getting more and more, it's growing a lot more, unfortunately. And even though we don't exactly have that same experience, we believe that this video, by showing that it's not the end of the world if you are diagnosed with depression, you can still rise above it and speak out to others and try to understand what you're going through, and allow you to speak out and receive help from others. So
I have a little personal connection to this. So during the process of making this, I was probably in the worst condition emotionally I'd ever been. And as I started to think of ideas for the film, I realized how close all of this related to me. And I realized there was a way out of this pain that I was feeling. And after deciding on our final idea of speaking out about struggles in life, I tried it myself. I spoke to my friends and my family and some of my teachers, and they told me about what they had done when they had gotten over their struggles. And as the days went by, my rain cloud started to go away until it was gone. And so if I can get any of you guys to think about one thing, is that if you see someone struggling or you are struggling yourself with mental health issues, don't keep it a secret or don't keep it inside. Speak out. We want to help.
And here's our movie.
High school became great for me. I was spending my time doing the things I loved. My friends and I would always hang out together, laugh together, and have a good time. But as the days went by, I let stress, anxiety, and negative thoughts build up, and it felt like a rain cloud pouring down my head. I didn't feel motivated to do the things I love to do. I stopped hanging out with my friends, and I let my grades slip away from me. I was too embarrassed to speak out. I just didn't know what to say. But then I noticed that others were also experiencing similar challenges and were showing the same symptoms that I'd had. I decided it was time I spoke out and sought support from those around me. I shared my story with others and realized I wasn't alone. We all have our rainy days, and even though they don't completely go away, it makes it a little easier with the support from those around you. Know the signs, and don't be afraid to speak out. Trust me, it will help.
So, you know, the issues are there. The whole point of directing change is not to keep things hidden, not to keep them pushed back. If you break your arm, like these kids saw me do in August, an activity with them, you're not afraid to say when somebody asks, what's wrong? I fell off a stool. I mean, it is embarrassing, but I fell off a stool and broke my arm. Yet when there's mental illnesses, you know, we don't like to talk about those openly. So I think they're doing an outstanding job. They're so smart. They're so caring of each other. That's what I love most about House of Blue is there's never drama. The kids take care of each other. Every kid, every different type of kid that's on every campus is in my class, and they all come together and do these amazing things. So these projects are the best experiences in education. I don't think things get more real than this, and I'm just fortunate that I have the opportunity to experience this with kids like this every year. So thank you for letting us share that with you.
All right, thank you for the wonderful information and showing us your videos, and good luck to everyone going to their next events. Whoops, pardon me. So we're going to move on to the next agenda item, 10.1.3. And students, if you want to take this opportunity, go ahead and take off. Thank you again for coming. Yeah.
All right, our last informational one, we have one of the hardest working people that I know. She's always giving me the information that I need about her program and gets into it quickly, always keeps me up to date. She's very passionate about this program, and we asked to bring her back earlier in the year. We're going to give us a college connection update. Ms. Elaine Elsmore.
Thank you, board and leadership team and College Connection students. You've heard a lot of wonderful presentations tonight, and I feel honored to be here, and I'm so glad that you're joining us. So I'm Elaine Elsmore, and I've been teaching with the College Connection program for 11 going on 12 years, and it's a really wonderful partnership that Butte College and Chico Unified have had for over 20 years now. And so this is a program for district seniors. So I get to work with students from PV and from Chico High, from Oak Ridge, wherever they come from, and they come from a variety of GPA ranges. They come from a variety of backgrounds. They are like our schools. Some of them are first generation students. Some of them come to me and say, I know what I'm gonna be, I know how I'm gonna do it, I know when I'm gonna do it, and I'll be back in your classroom as a guest speaker 10 years from now. Others are really curious and excited about all of the coursework that Butte offers, all of the subjects that they can explore that they haven't had a chance yet to explore. Some are a little bit apprehensive and they want to know before college fully starts if they are college material, if they can succeed in a college classroom. So it's all of these wonderful students. And what they all have in common is they're motivated, they're curious, and they're willing to step outside of their comfort zone. And Chico Unified does a wonderful job providing so many opportunities to step beyond that comfort zone. So quantitatively, these are students who've given, this year, 280 hours to the community, and they have discovered how good it feels to volunteer, but they've also networked, they've also learned what they like to do, what they don't like to do. They've gathered some job skills, so that's been a wonderful thing. They take 18 to 25 units in their senior year throughout the year, so when they cross the stage on the 6th of June, they will be taking almost a year of college with them. So they're saving themselves money, they're saving their families money, and they've done a little bit of exploring. And also this year we have 13 of our students who have been invited to their high school awards night. So they're an impressive group. Qualitatively, this program really allows for a lot of individualization. And so these 3 students are going to each introduce themselves and tell you a little bit about their experience, how they got to College Connection, what they got out of it, and where they're going next.
So, hello, my name is Noah Trento, and I'm a part of the graduating class of 2019. I wanted to personally thank all of you for your support of the Butte College Connection program, because I would not be where I am today if it were not for this program. I spent my first 3 years of high school at Chico High, but when the opportunity arose to join College Connection last spring, I knew this program was for me. This past year has made such an impact on my life with my academics and my new relationships with my peers that I know I will never forget about what I've experienced this year. This year has taught me much more than just academic information. I've learned practical skills and developed habits to carry me further in life than I ever expected. I hope I may influence your decision to keep Butte College Connection as a program for seniors to have, because on top of completing college-level courses and obtaining credits for them, this year has taught me so much about myself and what I want to pursue in my own life. Because of College Connection, I can proudly say that I've reached a rare place of identity achievement, and that not many other young adults my age even know exist yet. At the beginning of this year, I had no clue what I wanted to study in college, let alone what I wanted my profession to be. But because of all the time we were given to explore our interests and listen to guest speakers, I now have a near final draft of the next few years of my life. I wanted to thank you again for keeping this program alive for others, so they may also experience the opportunities that I've experienced.
And do you want to tell us about your shirt?
Oh yes, this is the college I'm going to next year. It's in Kansas, and I'm getting a lot of scholarship money, so that's why I decided to go there. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Madison Azevedo. I go to Pleasant Valley High School, and at the beginning of the year, I didn't know whether or not to do a nursing degree or a business degree, and those are 2 different areas. And so I was able to take classes in the fall and in the springs, some science and some business, and I finally decided that my strength is in business, so that really helped me a lot. And also having a guidance like Miss Elsmore as my teacher, who has gone through the college process and knows a lot about that I couldn't get that at home. And so she's been really a big help, and also she also has helped me know, like, I've also was able to apply to scholarships, and I didn't think that I would be able to get, and that's helped me tremendously because I'm on my own financially. So I'm really grateful for you.
Madison and all the students really challenge themselves, and they grow tremendously.
And I didn't think I'd be able to balance college and high school work at the same time, and the fact that I was able to finish it was a really surprise to me, and I'm ready for college next year independently, and so I'm really grateful for this opportunity that seniors get to have. So thank you.
Good evening. My name is Deborah Aripes, and I'm a senior at Chico High School. 3 years ago, my mom, my younger brother, and I moved to Chico. I was a sophomore in high school, and it was a horrible experience for me. It affected me personally, but as well academically. I went downhill, failing classes, seeing school as a chore rather than an opportunity to better myself and my future. That was until I saw the College Connections opportunity. When I heard and saw the College Connections advisors come into my class and explain to us what that program was, I knew that I needed to sign up right away. But then there's that debate of, well, it's your senior year. You don't want to spend your senior year not on campus. So after much discussion with my parents, my family, even late nights with my dog debating whether I should join or not, I decided to take the risk and do it, and I am so happy with it. I'm very happy that now I know what I want to do, which is a political science major. I am now happy that I have made professional connections through the program, and this was all because of Miss Elsmore. She was my college mom. She grabbed my hand and took me around everywhere, showed me everything, and because of your support, I was able to do this. So I have made professional connections, relationships, friendships. I have made my mom proud of me again, and most importantly, I'm more confident in myself and my future. Thank you.
It's a wonderful program because I get to collaborate with the students, not just stand in front and teach, but I really get to work with them, be a part of their lives and decisions, and offer that guidance. So thank you.
Thank you so much. How many students participate in College Connections each year?
We have one section, and this year we're at 28 students.
Fabulous. Thank you.
Thank you.
I just want to chime in from the end user part of it. My daughter did College Connection a few years ago, graduated a year earlier from Davis, had a great experience at College Connection, and oh, by the way, I saved a few dollars on the way. So it's been a great experience for us personally, as well as for my daughter educationally.
Right. Very good. Excellent. Yay!
All right.
Amazing. Thank you. All righty. So let's move on. Our next agenda item is now moving into business services, so 10.2.1, and this is a public hearing, discussion action item for resolution number 1465-19. And we'll start with Julie Kissel.
Do you want to open the public hearing?
I can do that. Public hearing is now open.
Thank you. So this item is a resolution being brought to the board for your review and approval this evening. Government Code Section 4217.12 authorizes us as an agency to enter into an energy services contract. This contract in particular is for Core Butte Charter School. ARC Alternatives was brought on board as they have helped the district in the past with our solar energy projects to develop a request for proposals from qualified applicants to bring forward energy resolution to supply solar-powered energy to Core Butte. They also analyzed the demand for the school and the production, and the comparison resulted that they can in fact save money on energy production for their school. So that's what this resolution is for tonight, that we can use this government code section to enter the agreement, which is in the next agenda item. Oh, and we did post the public notice, so it was properly posted on May 2nd.
All right, is there anyone from the public who would like to address this topic? Anyone from the board? Nope, then I'm going to go ahead and close the public hearing. Okay, so now we'll move on. Does the board have any questions for Ms. Kissel on this topic?
I had just posted a question I got an answer to, but I think it bears repeating, which is, even though this is not on our property, it's movable and we retain ownership.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, well, there's a little confusion in my mind whether it's appropriate for me to discuss and ask the questions during this public hearing or to wait until the next. Yeah, but, okay. So do we need to pass this first part and then we move on to whether we're going to approve the other? Is that the right process? But, okay. I'll let you do that because there's a number of things I want to bring up, but I'll wait until you pass this.
Well, okay, so we're talking about passing a resolution.
Correct.
Okay. So does anyone have any comments or questions on passing this resolution, 1465-19? Anyone from the audience? All righty, may I have a motion?
I move 10.2.1.
I'll second that motion.
Okay, so we have a motion to approve this resolution number 1465-19. Motion was made by Dr. Kaiser and seconded by Eileen Robinson. May I have a vote, please? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I'm going to oppose this, and I will talk about that in my next
Very good.
segment.
Okay, motion carries 4-1 with Liz Griffin opposing. So we will move on to 10.2.2. So this is discussion action for the agreement with Climate and Energy Solutions for a solar system at Fort Butte. Yes.
Okay, so the reason I have some concerns about this is because although I understand that it is supposed to be something that is movable, I don't really think it is. I don't really think that that's a reasonable possibility.
I got this. So we had legal counsel review the agreement itself. It passed that, but what they did recommend is that we enter into an agreement with Core Butte, noting the landlord, who happens to be the church, that spells out specifically that the asset is the property of Chico Unified School District, and if the charter were to move, we would continue to maintain our reversionary rights to the asset. So that is one of the things we'd like the board to do on this item when they accept it, is to give staff direction to enter into that agreement with Core Butte to specify our reversionary interest in the asset.
Okay, because, you know, in just, I don't know, in practicality, if you really are thinking about this, will this really happen? You know, in my mind, it doesn't seem like it's very likely that when you install, you know, over $500,000 worth of equipment on a place, that that's ever really going to be moved. And the fact that this is a, you know, it's like, why doesn't the landlord do this? I mean, basically what we're doing is we're enriching the property of this church. And, you know, this charter is here for, you know, right now, but do we know how long this charter is going to be here? I mean, this is something that this contract is going to go for and extend over 20 years, which is a long time into the future, and it's a lot of money. And, you know, I think there's some question there about, you know, that this is really not an enrichment of an external source. It's not. I don't really see the potential for us getting this back at any point in the future, and that if it were to have to be extracted off the site, what the cost of that would be and putting that somewhere else. It just doesn't seem really like it's likely to happen. And so I just really have some difficulty with this. If this were something that were going on one of our properties, one of our sites, whether it be something like Nord or Chico Country Day or something that we own that would enrich our site, I could really see doing it. But the fact that it's going on a site that's not even owned by us, that's not even owned by the charter, I really have problems with it.
I can add a little bit of information to your concerns. One, the church does not benefit from the system. They will not be utilizing the energy produced by the system at all. It is exclusively going to the buildings that the charter is utilizing. And the charter will be realizing the savings in energy costs. So that's the definite benefit to the charter. This is a rooftop installation, so there are brackets that would go on the rooftop that probably wouldn't be usable anywhere else. However, the major expense of a solar system is the panels, and the panels are easily removable. And you're right that it would cost money to have them removed and then put them in another location yet to be determined where that would be. But just so you know, there is a separation of the benefit to the church. The church doesn't get any of the power generated.
Currently, but if they were to leave and we were to just leave those panels there, which if into the future we choose not to do, it's like, oh, we don't have the money to do that, or the panels are old, or they're not functioning properly, or whatever, then, it's like an unknown. So we're going into this based on an idea of something that, 20 years down the road. And yes, they could choose at any point in time to end their rental agreement with this facility. I mean, how do we know that they're going to be renting this facility anytime in the future? We don't have any control over that. So how do we know that what is being done here, is not going to end up benefiting somebody else? Because I really think that there could be problems with extracting this whole system once it's in place and moving it back under our control. It just does not seem really likely that is going to happen.
Yeah, I'd like to just interject some personal experience. So I was one of the very first houses in the Chico area. In my neighborhood, I was the first to put solar on. And it was relatively a new thing. When I needed a number of years later to have my roof redone, it was by a different company who were doing the roof and solar, but literally they extracted everything off the roof, redid the roof. Some of the panels had become defective, and so those were replaced, and then it was expanded. But it was very, very clearly not a system that they threw away. They improved it, they built onto it, but they could use it. And now if you go around my neighborhood, which is in the Greenbelt, the number of homes that are adding solar is exponential. I mean, they're adding it every day. And so there's some risk. I mean, something could fall on the roof, which may sound like it's fanciful, but it's not, and damage them all. But we do have a contract that's 5-year warranty and then a 20-year warranty on the panels. And I think that would become an insurance issue. So I do think the insurance that is carried should recognize that solar system is ours. But I don't think it's completely a throwaway fiscal investment.
Well, it would make me feel a whole lot better if there were language and there was an agreement that was very explicit about what happens to this system if the school decides to move to another site, that we get everything back, who pays for it, the removal, and how that is going to happen. I would like very explicit language in an agreement, so that going into the future, that is protected, because, we're supposed to be guardians of the public funds, and enrichment of outside individuals, whether it be inadvertent or not, is something that we are supposed to protect against. And so this is a school district. The citizens of this city paid for improvement of school sites, and that's what it's supposed to be used for. And I want to make sure that that's exactly what it's used for into the future and under whatever circumstances might evolve over time.
If I just can say a few words. My name is Mary Cox. I'm the executive director of Corbeau Charter School. And I just wanted to give a few assurances to the board. One is that Corbeau Charter has actually been around since 1998. So we're actually celebrating our 20th anniversary here and serving students in and around Butte County. So we do have a longevity that I just wanted to make sure that the board knew. And also we did enter into a 20-year lease on this facility. So we do have longevity built into our long-term plan. And also, you may have seen, but we are currently constructing a new high school facility on that same property, on property that we purchased, which also is a 20-year plan for us as well. So we do definitely have built into our long-term plan to be here for the duration and to support students in our community.
Well, that's reassuring. So based on that, what I would like to do is move that we approve this, but with the stipulation that we enter into an agreement with the school that stipulates what is going to happen to this, who's paying for what. There's also costs which, reading the agreement and everything, there seem to be some unknowns about who's going to pay for additional costs that are incurred. I understand that there is maintenance that's covered for 5 years, but if this is supposed to be in operation for 20 years and the agreement is actually with the person who's installing it is with us, not with you, who's going to be taking care of all that maintenance? Is that cost going to fall on us? Is it coming out of Measure K? How's that happening? Like to have that spelled out a little bit more. So I would move that acceptance of this agreement with another agreement to be made with the school that spells out specifically those, questions and answers those questions.
Eileen, please.
Thank you, Liz, and thank you for expressing your concerns. I just had a question of Kevin. Kevin, at the beginning of our discussion, you mentioned some steps that we had taken, and I would like you to repeat, please, exactly what we've worked with our legal counsel on and what that means to address some of Board Member Griffin's concerns, as well as mine.
Actually, Board Member Griffin's motion is, in my opinion, perfect. It's exactly what I think is appropriate for the board and its fiduciary responsibility. So our legal counsel, in consultation with them, suggested exactly what has been proposed, that we do have a separate agreement that very specifically talks about the district's ownership, and that if the charter were to move, that basically the item would revert back to Chico Unified. So I really actually think it's a perfect recommendation and totally support it. So it has gone through review of bond counsel as well, so that we're not jeopardizing the tax exempt status of the bonds. And it has been reviewed by our facilities attorneys as well, and noting exactly that we need this additional agreement.
One of the things both Liz said and you said is if the charter moves, it reverts back to the district. It's still owned by the charter, so I would think if the charter dissolves, it comes back to the district. I don't understand the move.
It's owned regardless of what the charter does.
Mm-hmm.
We own it.
True.
So it doesn't matter, well, it matters to them,
But if-
it doesn't matter if they close or if they move. It's still our property.
Okay. Even though they're using their money to purchase it.
Right, but see, that's the confusion around
Right.
it too, because we are the customer in the agreement.
Correct.
And so, see, that, that's why this creates a very confusing sort of scenario in my mind as to who's responsible for what. And so I think your question is a legitimate one, because they were awarded this as part of, the Measure K money, but then we're the person who's in the agreement with AES or whatever. And so,
Kevin and then Eileen?
Yeah, let me clarify. The bonds have always been maintained in the district's name.
Right.
Yeah.
Any purchase or improvement has been made in the district's name. And we are allowing the charter the benefit of that
the
use.
use of
We
it.
have never handed them dollars.
True.
They have never entered into contract on their own.
True.
So everything has been held in Chico Unified's name, but for the benefit of the charter school.
Right.
But Trustee Griffin is exactly right. this is probably the most substantive improvement on a private facility.
Got
We've
it.
done, a good example is we've done a playground out at the fairgrounds, right? Well, we're going to be bringing that back to you because the fairgrounds, that charter may be leaving the fairgrounds. Well, that playground has to move off as well. So we'll be bringing that back to you. But it's the same example. If the charter school were to leave, we would work back through the charter committee that asset would be moved. And frankly, because it was bought with a charter school's allocation, we would want to give the charter school the first opportunity to use it.
Got
if
it.
it could go to another charter school, for instance.
Got it. Eileen?
Liz, I think your movement, the motion that you've moved is pretty clear, at least in my mind. And I think administration has a clear understanding of what your intent is. So I'd like to second your motion with the conditions that what you said is fulfilled, and put it before us with that caveat.
Ms. Smith, could you read back the motion to us, please? Or Liz, do you want to repeat it for us, or?
I got to remember.
Okay. Board Member Griffin moved approval, but with the stipulation that Chico Unified School District enter into agreement with the school that stipulates what is going to happen, who pays for what, and costs regarding unknowns for additional costs incurred in maintenance for 5 years and operation for 20 years. And the agreement is with the person installing and who will take care of the maintenance and have it spelled out. Move that acceptance of this agreement with another agreement made specifically with the school that spells out and answers those questions. And then seconded by Board Member Robinson, with the motion appropriate for the board.
Okay,
with
maybe we need
those
to clarify that a little.
conditions.
Whoa, okay. I would say that the motion would be that a accompanying agreement be made which clarifies should the charter end its lease with neighborhood church and decide to move, if that eventuality happens, if for whatever reason they dissolve, where our asset then, what becomes of our asset, and who is going to pay for the removal, and how is this all going to be handled in the case should they no longer be at the location where the asset is being installed. Is that clearer?
May I ask a question of you down there? Are we on a tight timeline for this? Because I almost wonder if it would be better to have this side note, come to us and do this all at once.
Actually, we kind of are on a
I
tight
figured
timeline.
you'd say that.
Summer is when the sun shines,
Yep.
and we want it to be installed as quickly as possible to capture that benefit.
Again, I don't perceive that this would be a difficult sidebar to the contract to establish. I think the board has made its intention extremely clear, and that we can move forward with that.
All right.
If I could just help to clarify, I think what you're asking for ultimately is a reversionary interest agreement.
Thank you, yes.
Simply put, a reversionary interest agreement.
Yeah.
Okay, so.
That nails it.
Please, Tom.
Who pays for the maintenance?
Reversionary interest agreement, including maintenance costs.
Right. Who's going to handle the maintenance and pay for the maintenance? If this is our asset,
Yeah, who's gonna
we
protect it?
understand it's covered for the first 5 years. We see that in the contract that exists. But what's going to happen after that 5 years?
Okay.
Does that sound right to
Yes,
everyone?
Yep.
Okay.
May I have that motion again, Erica, please? Just so I'm clear. I'm sorry.
Kevin got it down.
Kevin.
I believe the motion is to approve the agreement with a reversionary interest agreement, including maintenance costs.
Very good. Are you okay with that?
Yes.
All right, so we have a motion by Elizabeth Griffin. You're okay with that? A second by Eileen Robinson. May I have a roll call vote, please?
Griffin, aye.
Hovey, aye.
Kaiser, aye.
Robinson, aye.
Motion is approved.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. No, thank you. That was great discussion, and, you know, I didn't even really consider. So thank you for bringing that up. Okay. So we are going to move on to, gosh, which one was that? 10.2.2. So we're going to move on to 10.2.3, Charter School Measure K project request. Ms. Kissel.
Thank you. Tonight, we're bringing forward 2 project requests from the Measure K Charter Facility Committee. They've been hard at work again. The first one is Nord Country School, the multipurpose room addition and kitchen renovation for $600,000. And then over at Wildflower Charter, redesigning their existing kitchen area for meal prep and classroom use in the amount of $5,000.
So I just wanted to clarify, the Wildflower request really is not to physically do it, it's to research it, basically, right? It's a consultation kind of thing, consultation type of thing. It's not actually going to do the work.
No, it's for the design.
Design, right. Okay, just wanted to make sure everybody knew that, because it wasn't going to be, we're not going to be doing something to their facility.
Right.
Okay,
Have this
thank you.
discussion
Yes,
again.
we just had that discussion. Thank you.
And then additionally, in this agenda item, we are returning funds.
Mhm.
We had previous authorization from the board to spend certain dollar amounts on previous projects that were not all spent. So those dollars are being refunded back into the spreadsheet for those
Right.
particular
And they're
charter
listed
schools.
up there. All right. Any discussion from the board?
I just want to compliment Julie and Mike and your team that I think we started this the last board meeting, but seeing these returning funds shows how well you're managing these projects, how tightly they're being run, and that's a really positive aspect. And with that, I move 10.2.3.
Okay. Okay, so we have a motion by Dr. Kaiser, a second by Liz Griffin. Any further discussion from the board? Comments from the audience? All righty, may I have a vote, please? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion is passed. A lot of work ahead of you now.
Thank you.
We're not done.
I know. So 10.2.4, this is discussion action. Ms. Kissel, carry on.
Okay, so you just approved $600,000 Measure K funds for Nord Country School, and this next item is the guaranteed maximum price approval for that expansion of their multipurpose building and kitchen. Previously, the board had approved of the project, helped us to approve a selected architect and a lease-leaseback entity contractor, United Building Contractors. So I have to mention one thing. New lease-leaseback law requires that the guaranteed maximum price be reviewed by the board at a board meeting. And that's what I intended to do tonight. However, the plans were not approved by DSA in time for UBC, United Building Contractors, to
Run it.
finalize the GMP. I don't think there are any changes on what they bid to what is now approved. But I need to give them time to make sure that this is still their guaranteed maximum price. So I will be bringing it back to you once it's finalized. But tonight I would still like to move forward with the budget outlined in the agenda packet, which was revised. I assume you got the revision. Yeah. So this authorizes an overall project cost of $1,490,347.97. This includes the guaranteed maximum price as it was proposed after bid of $1.1 million. And that includes our soft cost budget, which is our architectural fees, planning fees, any DSA fees, inspections, geological reports, all of those things. And then we have a rather large contingency, which is district held, of 15% right now. That equals up to that total project cost. So we are asking you to authorize that total project cost tonight, and we will bring the GMP back by the board, probably on consent. That will definitely fall within this number.
All right. Questions from the board? Discussion?
I move 10.2.4.
I'll second the motion.
Yes, we have a motion to approve by Dr. Kaiser and a second by Eileen Robinson. Are there any questions from the audience? Comments? All righty, may I have a vote, please? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Now your work's cut out for you. Yay. All righty. Well, thank you. So we're going to move on to 10.2.5, and Ms. Kissel, you're still there.
Sorry, I jumped to 6.
Restroom.
Okay. This one is, we're asking for pre-authorization because we are bidding this project on May 21st, and we wanted to be authorized in advance so we could get started as soon as school is out. We brought to you the Student Housing Committee recommendation back in January that we move a relocatable restroom building from our courtyard that came off of Shasta previously over to Parkview Elementary School. And we're asking for you to pre-authorize $200,000, which is the bid limit for the CUPCA law. We're using our informal bidders list for this project. So we did have 3 bidders come to the bid walk, so we expect to have good participation on the 21st.
Excellent, thank you. Questions from the board?
Do we think it's going to cost that much?
I actually don't. However, we didn't have an engineer's estimate, and with the fluctuation of costs that we've been seeing recently, there is some extra dollars in that authorization. I really think it will come in less than 160.
Does there have to be a lot of site prep on that?
No, we do have to trench for water for the portable, just because the water line that is existing isn't big enough. Because there were portables in this location before, but they only had sinks. They didn't have toilets, and toilets need more water flow. So we do have to trench quite a distance to get larger water service to the building. And we also have to put in a lift station and a sewage pump, because they didn't ever have to deal with sewage coming in to the sewer system because it was just sinks before. So there are some things that are a little unknown cost-wise there.
Yeah. Well, how much does a new bathroom just from scratch cost anymore?
I would guess about 200,000, 215. Pretty expensive.
So it's almost like, are we saving any money by using a portable?
Oh, you mean to put a new restroom in? Well, they don't have a space to put a restroom in the existing school.
Okay.
So this is.
So they couldn't like add it on to anything and
no.
No, they would have to build an entirely new structure.
The whole thing, that would be a whole thing. Okay, okay, thank you.
Sure.
I move 10.2.5.
Second.
Okay, so I have a motion for 10.2.5 by Dr. Kaiser and a second by Liz Griffin. Eileen, you had a question?
Yes, Julie, is this 200,000 pre-approval? If it should go over, then what?
Then we won't enter contract.
Thank you.
Right.
Yeah.
Can't do it.
Right. Tom, did you have a comment? Okay. Any questions, comments from the audience? May I have a vote, please? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion is approved. Thank you. All right, 10.2.6, this is a discussion action for bid approval, studio lighting project for House of Blue. Julie.
This is an exciting project. As you all know, we worked with Mike Peck 2 years ago to make significant improvements to their studio over at Pleasant Valley High School. And part of what we planned for at that time was the addition of this lighting system. And now we're finally getting ready to move forward with it. This has truly been a team effort to get this project bid out in time to bring it forward this evening, because the grant has deadlines for spending the dollars. So we received bid today. This was also an informal bid through the Cupca Act. And the bid amount was $143,915 with Musson Lighting. They were the only bidder because they were the only bidder with that license on our informal bidders list.
I move 10.2.6.
I'll second the motion.
Motion by Dr. Kaiser, second by Eileen Robinson. Any questions or comments from the board? Questions or comments from the audience? Yes, go
So
ahead.
Julie, when you have just like a single bidder like that, how do you feel about it? Do you feel that we're safe in doing that? Do you do comparatives outside somehow without having
Yeah, is that
it
reasonable?
bid by others? How does that work?
It's a bit unusual for us to only have one bidder, but this is extremely specialized work. So there aren't many firms out there that do this kind of lighting for a studio. So they did provide a proposal to Mr. Peck directly several months ago, before they even knew that they would have to be bidding it formally. And they kept their price, but they did have to add a little bit for the bonds that are required for our project. But so they didn't know that they had no competition, and I do feel that it's a fair price for, it's mostly the lighting, the actual lights themselves, the equipment that is in this price, not so much the labor for the installation.
Very good.
Thank you.
All right, we have a motion on the floor and a second. Any other questions, comments? All right, may I have a vote, please? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, motion is approved. All right, 10.2.7, this is your night, Ms. Kissel, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah.
should have pull
Taking
up a chair.
Taking care of everything tonight. Okay, so this item is our Phase 4 Master Plan project at Emma Wilson Elementary School, the addition of new kindergarten building. And we did put this out, as I mentioned earlier, for hard bid. And we received 5 bids, which I thought was excellent. And they were all pretty close. 4 of them were very close, and 1 of them was kind of high. But they were all within our budget. So I was very thrilled. Randy Hill Construction is the lowest apparent bidder at $3,970,000. And on the agenda sheet, you see this is a total project cost approval for tonight. So I've laid out the construction cost and the soft cost contingency budget and the total on your lead sheet. I did have to revise this because I had the construction budget too high before. I hadn't changed it down after, or lowered it after we went through the design process and got our estimates from our third-party estimator. So those numbers were corrected on your revised sheet. They are a local firm. I have not personally worked with them. They have done schoolwork in the past, although not recently. I believe they do all public works projects, though. Yeah.
we have a motion to approve by Dr. Kaiser, a second by Liz Griffin. May I ask for any other questions or comments? Seeing none, may I have a vote, please? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion is approved. 10.2.8.
Well, normally, our notices of completion are on consent agenda, so I'm not quite sure how this one ended up in action. But this is the notice of completion for the medical treatment unit added to Little Chico Creek Elementary School.
I move approval of 10.2.8.
Okay, so we have a motion for approval by Liz Griffin, a second by Mr. Lando. I just had a question. Have we already gotten reimbursed for the cost of that, or did they pay for the cost, or how did, yes? Ah. Yep. Excellent. Excellent. Thank you so much. All right, so a motion and a second. Any comments, questions from the audience, the board? Yes, Dr. Kaiser.
I just want to note that in this run that we've just had with Julie, I probably spent more money easily than I anticipated spending for quite some time. But
yes,
so it's
indeed.
nice that something that we planned is done. So
All right.
that's good.
So we still need a vote on that 10.2.8. All those in favor? Aye, motion is passed unanimously. Thank you. You're right, Dr. Kaiser. It's been an expensive evening. 10.2.9.
Thank you. So this item, as you know, we have multiple relocatable classroom buildings sitting out at our corporation yard, which we were reserving in the case of Blue Oak Charter School accepting our Prop 39 offer. And now that they have decided not to take us up on that offer, we have a surplus of portable classroom buildings. We do want to retain 10 buildings just for insurance for our district in case we need to place them on a campus in the future. But we do have a surplus over that 10 portables right now. I was contacted by Nuestra Elementary School District, and they are in need of 3 portable classroom buildings. So this item is to surplus 3 portables and deem them not of a value higher than $2,500, I believe, to our district, and to sell them to Nuestro Elementary School District for the price of $1. And they assume all liability for the buildings, and they also pay to relocate them. The agreement that they are going to enter with us is also attached, and I do have to tell you that we are going to change one of the buildings. One was going to be one of the ones that we took off the Pleasant Valley High School site that's been sitting in our yard for a number of years since we built the Yale building. And they inspected that building and thought that it might be too expensive for them to refurbish. So we selected another portable from the boneyard that we will put into the agreement.
Julie, where is Nuestro School District?
They are somewhere near Yuba
Live Oak.
City, right?
It says live.
Live
Oh,
Oak,
really?
yeah.
Okay, I thought I read something. Okay, I never heard of that before. That's so strange.
They're a tiny district, and they really are grateful that we're willing to offer these portables, and they wanted to come here tonight, and thank you for even considering it. They're very, very grateful for the opportunity to get them.
Okay, well, I move item 10.2.9.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Board? Audience? All those in favor? Aye, motion is passed unanimously. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. So this next item is informational. It's the transportation application process. And,
So I'll be carrying this morning, or this evening.
okay, thank you.
We're bringing this to you early. What typically happens at the start of every school year?
I know you were having trouble.
Can you hear it now? So at the start of every school year, we tend to be attempting to transport as many students as possible. And often in the process, we have students who are willing to pay to ride the bus because they're outside of the transportation areas. We provide them transportation, but we're very clear in the application that if we have a student who is free and reduced or deserves free transportation, they may in fact be bumped. And that always tends to cause us a little bit of a challenge. So we wanted the board to know that we clearly in the application process communicate this. They actually initial the application in that area, noting that they're aware that may occur. I also want to take the opportunity to inform the board that back in 2015, when we changed the radius from 1 mile, or from 2 and 3 down to 1 and 2, the intent was to increase ridership. And in fact, we've done that. At that time, we were transporting about 750 students on average, with about 350 of those special needs. We're now transporting over 1,000 students, and our special needs transportation has remained the same. So what we're really seeing is that we're putting more students home to school on the buses. So we wanted you to see the process. We wanted you to see the application. We wanted you to know this ahead of time as we get into the summer and we start receiving these applications, that our intent is always to provide as much transportation as possible. However, we don't have unlimited capacity. We don't have unlimited buses and we don't have unlimited drivers. So we are always in this push and pull of maximizing the space, but then making sure that those students who are required to receive free and reduced transportation get that service. So I'm
Yeah.
open to any questions.
Yeah, I was just wondering, what is our status with regards to the drivers? Are we going to have enough drivers?
We do have enough drivers right now, but we certainly need to keep recruiting more. And frankly, we have our supervisor and we have our driver trainer that are driving on a very regular basis in a substitute status. And we'd really like to end that so that they can focus more on their key components of their jobs.
And can we fix the mess about age and grade and mileage?
Yes, we can. We note that AR, Administration Regulation 3250,
Yeah.
was not adjusted properly when the board made the change back in 2015. And it should reflect 1 and 2 as far as the miles of radius versus the previous 2 and 3.
But so is a mess as 3541. It has grade splits that we don't even use.
Well, we will review 3541 and 3254, and we will, since they are administrative regs that support a board policy, we can make those changes at a cabinet level. So we will get that done.
Thank you.
What is the cost for transportation? And is it sliding scale? I didn't see that anywhere in the packet. I was just curious.
Isn't that under 3250? It says qualifications and fees.
They have to, I think it
I don't see
changes.
it.
They have to apply.
Well, I thought I looked at that, but I didn't see.
It doesn't tell you the exact amount.
You know, I don't see that on the application
Yeah,
itself.
I think it's variable with their status.
It just
Yeah.
says it shall not exceed the statewide average,
Right.
non-subsidized costs.
Okay,
We'll need to provide that information to the board.
perfect, thank you. All righty, so would anyone, this is actually, it's not an action item, so it's information only.
It's informational only.
All righty, thank you so much.
But we want action.
We do want action, you'll.
Bad regs.
All righty. So it looks like we're on to 10.2.11, and this is a discussion action. It's the safety project. And looks like we're going to talk about some trees.
Correct. So we're very clear, we love trees. Matter of fact, in all the construction projects that we complete, we plant more trees than we ever take out. The challenge is at times, trees have a lifespan, and we get to a point where they are not safe. And that is when we want to come to you and recommend for removal. Furthermore, we also have trees that we know aren't very conducive to being safe, such as liquid ambers that drop the large spiky balls that often people can trip on. So we've planned for that at PV specifically. And I'll show you pictures of the trees that we're talking about. But at Pleasant Valley, you're going to see that we planted trees earlier, years ago, frankly, in anticipation of taking out the liquid ambers. So I'll walk you through that. But here's an example of one of the trees that we would recommend be removed at Hooker Oak. It is right near the playground. And it doesn't look that bad up front. Until you start looking in this area right here and it's hollow. Hard to see maybe in the area you're looking at, but it's hollow inside in this area. And if you move further, we have some of the tips of the trees actually dying. Here we go, out in this space as well. You can see the proximity to the playground. And we're not recommending removal of all of these trees, correct? We're only recommending 3 of the trees? We're recommending 2 of the trees be removed that are hollow, maintaining over 3 of the trees that provide shade in the space. So as I discussed, Pleasant Valley High School, we have these liquid amber trees that drop those balls right in areas where we have people walking into our schools. But in its anticipation of that need, we planted these trees, for example, so that they could take the place when we had to remove these. So we're at that point that we think for safety reasons we need to remove it. And then we also have what is clearly a dead tree, a second dead tree, and finally at Pleasant Valley at the back of the stadium is clearly dead and needs to be removed. So at this point, we're recommending that these trees be approved by the board for removal for safety reasons.
Okay. Questions? Yes.
Now, having lived with those liquid ambers at PV and seeing the danger that those others pose, I move to approve the recommended tree removals at Pleasant Valley and Hooker Oak.
I'll second that.
And if I can make an announcement, my office was right outside where the student was killed by a falling tree limb at Chico State. And so I definitely support this move.
Okay, so we have a motion to approve by Eileen Robinson, a second by Elizabeth Griffin. Is there any further discussion from the board? The audience? All right, may I have a vote, please? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion is approved unanimously.
I would say we have worked with the tree advocates. We just had some plantings on many of our schools. And again, we don't like to take out trees, but when they're unsafe, we do.
Silver maples are majestic trees. However, my neighbor has 2 of them that have fallen. They're kind of in that same condition, and it's been really scary for them. So they've had to take care of those matters. All righty. Well, thank you. All right, so we are moving on to 10.3. This is the Human Resources section of our agenda, and the first item is discussion action 10.3.1, Declaration of Need for Fully Qualified Educators. Mr. Hanlon?
Okay, so each year we bring this to you. We have no problems filling all our positions with fully credentialed teachers. We're one of the few school districts in the state that is able to do that. However, occasionally people leave us in the middle of the year and we find ourselves in the same difficulty as everyone else, particularly in areas like special education or possibly math or science. So what we have to do is file with the Commission on Teacher Credentialing a declaration saying that we may need to issue emergency credentials mid-year. And we have to do that before it actually happens. So we bring this to you for approval so that in case we get in that situation, we we can hire the people that we need in the classroom.
Question?
Thank you. Jim, Kevin just left. You mentioned several teaching areas, but on our agenda, one of the things was Spanish. Is there a
We have not had that, but recently. But that is another area that's very difficult to hire. So in a pinch, we may have need for someone who at least speaks Spanish, but is not necessarily credentialed. But it's a 30-day maximum, so it gives us some time to go out and search.
Okay, I just was wondering,
Yeah.
because I knew Spanish had been one of the ones highlighted. Thank you.
Yeah, we certainly don't want to put somebody in there for 30 days that doesn't even speak the language, and then we don't have anything happening. That has not happened recently, but you just never know. We just want to be prepared.
Very good. Any other questions or comments? Okay, may I have a motion, please? Second. Okay, so we have a motion by Liz Griffin, a second by Dr. Kaiser. May I have a vote, please? All those in favor? Aye. Motion is passed unanimously. We will bump on down to 10.3.2. Mr. Hanlon again.
So this is Resolution 1469-19, and we're just bringing before you the elimination of a couple part-time positions. As always, we're not doing any of the layoffs. These are positions that are not filled at the current time and no longer are needed or no longer are able to be funded.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Liz Griffin, a second by Dr. Kaiser. Any questions, comments? All those in favor? Aye. Motion passes unanimously. 10.3.3, Mr. Hanlon again.
So this is Resolution 1470-19, and the only difference here is this is a non-CSEA position. It's a parent classroom aide position, so we have to have separate resolutions for the two.
Very good.
10.3.3. Second.
Okay, motion by Liz Griffin, second by Dr. Kaiser. Any other questions? All those in favor? Aye. Motion passes. Thank you. And it looks like we are at item 11, items from the floor. No? Did I miss one? Oh, 10.3.4. Oh, my goodness, the most important one in that whole section almost. Okay, so I am apologizing. Mr. Hanlon, this is a resolution for Classified Employee Appreciation Week. Please tell us about
Right,
that.
so May 19th through 25th is designated as Classified Employee Appreciation Week. So I'd like to read the resolution and
Please do.
have your adoption.
Sorry, you've been preempted.
What's that? No, you want to, oh, perfect.
Yeah.
So just so you know, before you read it,
Thank
Eileen, we will be recognizing our classified employees during the week. So we have had nutrition department bake some special goodies that the district office will be delivering out to each of the sites with a card expressing our appreciation for all classified. So we'll be making personal visits to all school sites, the courtyard, and the district office. To honor our classified during that week. So we'll be visiting different sites every day of the week.
If you want to join us, feel free.
Thank you. And thank you, Madam President. Yes, having come from the classified ranks and having absolutely the greatest admiration and appreciation for the service and work of our classified staff, I will read the following resolution. The week of May 19th, 25th is hereby designated as Classified School Appreciation Week. Whereas the education of youth is essential to the future of our community, state, country, and world. And whereas classified employees are the backbone of our public education system, and whereas classified employees work directly with students, educators, parents, volunteers, business partners, and community members, and whereas classified employees support the smooth operation of offices, the safety and maintenance of buildings and property, and the safe transportation, healthy nutrition, and direct instruction of students, and whereas our community depends upon the trusts classified employees depends upon and trusts classified employees to serve students, and whereas classified employees with their diverse talents and true dedication nurture students throughout their school years, now therefore be it resolved that the Chico Unified School District Board of Trustees proclaims March 19th through 25th, 2019 to be classified Employee Appreciation Week, and be it therefore further resolved that the Chico Unified School Board of Trustees strongly encourages all members of our community to join in this observance, recognizing the dedication and hard work of these individuals.
So we need to approve this resolution. May I have a motion?
I move approval.
Very good. Motion by Eileen Robinson, second by Liz Griffin. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion is unanimously approved. Thank you so much, and thank you to the classified staff. You bet. Alrighty, so now we are items from the floor. Okay. Any other announcements? Then let's take this time to adjourn. Thank you so much. And a lot.
Big bang all of a sudden.
I hope everybody